Hey guys, Kevin here. Let's have a look at data structure using lists and how we can also comprehend lists. So first of all, you might ask what are data structures? They are formats, specified formats in which you can store different types of data, and they have a lot of uses. Now in this video, we are just going to be going through stacks and queues in Python. So first of all, we have stack. All right. Now I wanted to imagine a stack. A stack is a Pringle can, basically a Pringle can, where let's say you have a Pringle can over here. You have a chip on which you have written some information. You push it inside the can. You take another chip, you push it back in. You take 5 chips, you push them one by one. All right. So now your Pringle can has total 5 chips in it. Now let's say you wanna pull out some information. So you take the topmost chip out. All right. So the fifth chip which went inside came out the first. So last in, you have last in and first out. All right. And we can use lists to code this. So let's head on over to our coding space and let's write a text. Let's write data structures using lists. And first we'll be looking at stacks. All right. So for stacks, what we can do is we can create a list called stack, and we can just keep it empty. All right. Now if I were to do stack dot append Kevin, all right. uh, and then I would like to print my stack. We get the stack with Kevin. All right. Now if I append David into it and I append John into it, right? And then if I were to print our stack, the stack will contain Kevin, David, and John. All right. Now if I want to pop some item, I'll just do stack dot pop. All right, and then print our stack. And then what that will do is it will pop the topmost item, which is John. So first we appended Kevin, then we appended David, then we put John inside, and then when we use the function of pop, John got popped out, and then Kevin and David are the only one remaining. Now you might ask that what is the application of this? Let's say you are browsing, all right. So you were on google.com, all right. From google.com you went to some other website. Let's say Google, you went to Google Colab, right? Then from Google Colab you went to Gmail. Then from Gmail you went to Drive. Now what happens is each time these websites they get pushed into a stack. So your stack was empty. Google.com got pushed. Then Google Colab got pushed inside. Then Gmail got pushed inside. Then Drive got pushed inside. Now let's say you want to backtrace. You want to press this icon on your browser. If you press go back, what happens is that Drive, which was pushed inside, it gets popped. So now Drive is not there inside the stack, and the topmost element is now Gmail. So Gmail will be displayed on your browser. If you press pop again, Gmail is now not existing in the stack, and now you only have two things, which is Google Colab. Now, if you press pop again on Google Colab, you are exited after Google Colab, and now only Google.com is remaining. So that's a example of how you can use stack in the technology or in coding. So that's an application of stack. That's where stacks are used. Uh, Next, let's have a look at queues. Now, what are queues? They're just like a normal lines. All right. Let's say there's this ticket counter. Right. They are selling tickets to the movie. First of all, Kevin comes in the line. Then John comes in the line. Then David comes in the line. Then John comes in the line. Now, the moment Kevin gets his ticket, he gets popped out. He gets DQ'd. All right. So now, what will the list have? It will have. It will just have John and David and John. Right. So now, however, it is not as simple as just using the function pop. You'll need to create a specific function for yourself. So let's just do that. Let's write a code for queues, all right, and let's create a queue which is also an empty list, all right. Let's do queue dot append Kevin, all right, and then let's just copy these. And Yeah, one important tip, if you press left alt on your keyboard and then while you have pressed it, if you click anywhere else, the cursor gets copied over there. Alright, so then you can do all of this simultaneously. So let's press left alt and let's click over here. Let's remove this, right, Q. Right, now what this will do is, if I were to print the queue right now, it will have Kevin, David and John. Alright, now if I want to remove something, let me define a function over here. Let's define a function called dq. Alright, and it takes input of a list, so let's call it list, the double T. And what we want to do is that inside the list we want to take the first element, alright, and we want to put the second element in place of that. We want to put the third element in place of the second element, and we want to remove the third element. So what we'll do is, for I in list, right, uh, list and then I is equals to list I plus 1. Alright, and over here, sorry, what we need to do is we need to do a range of length of list minus 1. So when we do this minus 1, what happens is that the length of list is 3 in our case, right? So now the range will be up to 2. So I will have two values, 0 and 1. So the first value that is at index 0 becomes the value that is at index 1. The value that is at index 1 now becomes the value that is at index 2, and then index 2 stays as it is. And then what we do is we exit out of, once the loop is finished, we just do list dot pop and then uh, return list. All right, so let's do this. So as you can see, the first element Kevin got popped out, and now you just have David and John. All right, so that's how you can dequeue it. Now there's another thing that you can do, like there are some libraries, we'll be looking at them in the future, where you have this function, that we just defined right now. It is there predefined. All right, so just import that and then you use that as your function. All right, so we'll be having a look at it in a future video, how we can use libraries, and that's a bit faster. One thing that you can also do is, instead of using this, what you can do is you can do uh, q dot pop at the index of 0, right, and that will also do the work for you, right? But instead of using this is something that I thought that would be helpful to you, so let's just revert back to that. Yeah, and we are done with queues. Now let's move on. The next topic is comprehending lists. All right, so let's say I want to take the input of the list from the user. All right, I want the user to enter, I just run this once. I want the user to enter 10 values. I want the user to first enter that I want to have 6 values or 7 values in my list, and then I want him to enter all the values. So what I'll do is I'll say, uh, first let's do comprehending lists, right? Let's say uh, n equals to int input, enter the number of elements in your list. All right, you got the value of n. Now for I in range n, right, let's make an empty list. Let's call it user underscore list for I in range n, k equals to int input enter your number, right, and user underscore list dot append k, right. And then we wanted to print user underscore list. Yeah, this needs to be in brackets, my bad. Let's say I want 5 elements. Enter number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'll list, there you have it, I'll list as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so that's how we can comprehend list. Next, what we can see is how we can comprehend nested lists. Alright, let's have a look at that. So for that, what we'll do is we'll ask them that same as this, alright, enter the number of sub lists in your list. Alright, let's say they say 5, so then we'll do list main underscore list, and that's an empty list, right? And then, my god, and then what we can do is we can say that for I in range n, now what we'll do is we'll ask them that int let's say m equals to int input, enter the number of elements in your sublist, alright, and once you have that, for j in range m, let's also define a temp sub list, alright. Let's take another input, k equals to int input, enter the value, and then let's do temp underscore sub underscore list dot append k, alright. Then once this for loop is over, alright, we'll do main underscore list dot append temp underscore sub list, alright. Okay, so I'll just explain this. What basically we did was, first of all, we asked them that how many sublists do you want. So they said that, let's say I want 5 sublists, alright. So then we went from 0 to 1, 2, 3, and 4, alright. Now each time I had a value, we created a temporary sublist. We then asked that how many elements do you want in your sublist, alright. So they said, let's say I want 3 elements. So then 3 times we'll ask them enter the value, enter the value, enter the value, and each time the value will be entered into, would be appended into the temporary sublist that we created. Now once the temporary sublist is over, once we have exited this loop, what we'll do is we'll append the temporary sublist into the main list, alright, and then at the end we'll print the main list, and let's run this. So let's say I want 4 sublists. Now in my first sublist I want 3 elements. Let them 1, 2 and 3. Now in my second sublist I want 5 elements. Let them be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now in my third sublist I want 2 elements, 9 and 10. And in my final sublist I want 3 elements, right? 11, 12 and 13, right? And there you have it. You have your main list with first sublist as 1, 2, 3, second sublist as 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this is a nested list, and this is how you can make one. This is usually asked in a question where they might ask you to take input for a matrix. So what I'll just I just reform this code, change the names so that it looks like it is the code for a matrix. So any number of rows in your matrix, and let's call this matrix. Alright. Alright, so what I've done over here is that I've done this smart thing where if you put curly brackets and 0 and then you use the format function, what it does is whatever variable you have mentioned in the format function, it gets replaced over there, it gets put in place of these braces. Alright, now if I had multiple variables, I could do something like this. I could write curly bracket and 1, and then I could mention j over here, and what will happen is I plus 1 will be going over here, there will be a comma, and then j would be over here. So that's one tip with strings. When you want to print them like that in a smart way, you could do that. I've done them over here, and let me run the code. So enter the number of rows. Let's say 3 rows. All of them have 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Again 3, 7, 8 and 9. So there's your matrix with the first row is 1, 2, 3, second row is 4, 5, 6, and third row is 7, 8, 9. So this is how you can comprehend nested lists or matrices. Last method to comprehend a list is using the map function. Alright, so creating lists using a map function. Now what that does is that, let's say I have a defined function where which gives me the answer of any input. It squares the input to me and gives me as the output. So let's say I put 5, I receive the answer as 25. Alright, so let's define a function called squares. Alright, and let's put an input n to it. Let's say return n square. Alright, now what I can do is, let's say I have a list underscore begin, right, which is my input list, and let's say that's 1 comma 3 comma 6 comma 9 comma 10 comma 30. All right, now what I want to do is I want to create another list, that is list underscore answer, and what that should do is that should square all of these for me. All right, so what we can do is we can do list map name of the function, which is squares, and then list underscore begin. Alright, so what this map function does is it takes the function name and it takes the iterator, that is the place from which it picks up the values, and returns a new list to you with the final values. Right, so if I were to do print list underscore ans and run it, it would give me 1, 9, 36, 81, 100, 169. So that's another method to create lists using a map function. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to see more of such tutorials. Give me a follow on Twitter at @KevinPKaria. And if you have any queries, feel free to send an email at ask.kevinpkaria@gmail.com.